Welcome to Real Conversations with Patricia Baranovsky-Schneider, the podcast that takes you on a journey around the world to meet some of the most inspiring and accomplished individuals. Discover their stories, uncover invaluable business lessons from their paths to success, and gain exclusive insights on how to apply their strategies to elevate your life and business.
Hello, and welcome to Real Conversations with Patricia. I'm your host, Patty Baranovsky-Schneider. Today, I'm joined by Chief Mark Corona. So welcome, Mark. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, Patty. Thank you for having me on your show. I hate talking about myself because I like to, I'm the kind of person who likes to provide value. When you talk about yourself, it's kind of like, what's fun about that? The very short version, I'll give you the very, very short version is I'm the Chief Border Patrol Agent of the satirical nation of Slowjamastan. And I'm also a national trivia game show host and the only one in the world who is doing it for a company called Game Nights.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive in one short mouthful. Wow. Well, that I can definitely say I can't top that. Definitely can't top that, but that's awesome.
I do what I can.
Well, tell us, what inspired you to create the satirical nation of now Slowjamastan? Slowjamastan?
Yes, you're close. It's Slowjamastan is the way that is pronounced. Yeah.
And how has it grown to it? Because it's attracted over 20,000 citizens globally. So tell us a little bit about it and all that.
Yeah. Actually, it's more now. We're over 30,000 as of this recording. It's growing every single day. Really, it was my best friend. He was traveling the world. His goal in life was to travel all 193 countries. Like, that's what he wanted to do. So one day he calls me up right before his last country and he says, "Dude, I want to start my own country. What do you think?" Now, a little background on him and I. We've done a lot of dumb things in our lives, silly things, illegal things, that we can talk about at another time. And I said, "Well, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. I'm in. Let's do it." I said, "Let's go ahead and start the country." Now, there's no roadmap, right, for starting the country. There's no one that you can, look up to or say, "Hey, I want to do it just like this person," or someone that you can ask, "Hey, how do I do this?" Right. You're literally on your own. So the inspiration came from him traveling the world, and then him and I jumped into starting this, and we really didn't know where it was going. We didn't know what was going to come of it. We just started and just kept going. And then one day CNN breaks the news and puts us on the global scale. Wow. And all of a sudden, people from all over the world are now, I've heard about Slowjamastan and have become part of Slowjamastan, as we call them, Slowjamastanis.
Okay. Now, what exactly is that? So people understand. And so I understand.
No, Slowjamastani is like, you're an American, right? Whatever country you're from. And if you're from the country of Slowjamastan, you are a Slowjamastani is what you're called. And just like any other country, we also have laws. And me being the Chief Border Patrol Agent of Slowjamastan, unlike the U.S. Border Patrol, who's there to detain and deport, my job is to import and retain. That's what I do as the Chief Border Patrol Agent, hence retention expert.
Okay.
So we have a lot of laws in Slowjamastan, and that's why I'm the Chief Border Patrol Agent. Our number one law, and hopefully, Patty, you're not one of these people, our number one law is we do not allow Crocs in Slowjamastan.
Oh my God, thank God.
There you go. Patty's in. If I catch you wearing Crocs, I will forcibly remove it and I will beat you over the head with it. Playfully, because they're rubber, but nonetheless, I will beat you over the head with it. So just don't wear any Crocs when you come to Slowjamastan. So that's just one of our many laws. Listen, that kid has no idea, so it's the parents who are at fault, not the kid.
And you can beat them over the head. I get you.
I'll beat them over the head, all of them, just to teach them a lesson. Never do it again. But people know, and that's really what we're known for. We're known for the Venom Crocs, and we're known for a lot of our other silly laws, but that's the one that really stood out and unified people. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, well, you get a lot of support here. That much I can tell you.
Love it. I'm at the right place.
Now tell us, turning ambition into action, it's a key part of your journey. So what's your process for setting and achieving impactful goals?
I like to set, when it comes to goal setting, this is one of the things I talk about a lot. When it comes to goal setting, I tell people, including myself, I say, listen, you want to set one goal, one thing, one idea, one dream, one thought, whatever that is. Until you achieve it, nothing else matters, right? So if you have a priority list, let's say you have like 10 things on that list, right, and you want to look at that list and go, okay, so there's a lot of goals on here, but which one's the priority? Okay, this one's the priority. That's the one you focus on. Everything else doesn't matter. That's it. That's the goal you focus on. Until you achieve that goal, nothing else matters. That's how we look at Slowjamastan. That's how I look at my trivia company. We look at it just like that. You set that goal. What is it that we're going to get? What is it that we're going to attract into our lives? And that's what we focus on. That's how we do Slowjamastan every day. When, as we were building it, it was about, okay, what's the thing we want to do? Let's get there. And once we get there, we move on to the next thing. We don't try to do, 10 different things. I believe that's how you fail the fastest. We try to do the one thing, achieve it, and move on to the next. That's how we go anyway about setting our goals and whatever ambitions we have with whether it's the country or doing trivia.
Now, I mean, okay, so where exactly is
Slowjamastan? So Slowjamastan is a real place. It's located 90 miles south of Palm Springs, California. It's in between El Centro, California, and Palm Springs, California. Okay. And it's about 11 acres worth of country. There are some states out there. We have governors who run their own states, and they have physical states inside of Slowjamastan. We have a guard shack that you can come into. You need a passport. Just like any other country, you need a passport to be able to come into Slowjamastan. So, yeah, we're over there by the Salton Sea is where Slowjamastan is located, right? Which is funny. Ironically, right by the Border Patrol, which we had no idea when we first got there. We're like, wow, the U.S. Border Patrol is right over there. And not the Slowjamastan Border Patrol. Well, that's just ironic. Yeah, it just worked out really good. So now we're all really good friends.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, yeah, you're kind of like, help me to help you.
Basically, they'll come and check on the land, and they'll let me know if something's going wrong or if they see something suspicious. But we also have cameras out there, so we can do both. Get intel from the Border Patrol or our own cameras.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's fun.
Well, what lessons from building Slowjamastan can be applied to businesses leading and leadership in today's world?
That's a really good question, actually. And I've been asked this question several times. Honestly, building a nation, as fun as it is, as silly as we are, as quirky as we get, building a nation is a lot like building a business. And I've built several businesses. The same principles apply. You have to find a market. Is there a demand for whatever it is that you want to do? Obviously, there's not a demand for building countries, but we're the people that kind of changed that. And we became a company that actually broke that rule. Said, well, there is kind of a demand for the country,
Everybody wants out, so yeah, why not?
Exactly. I mean, we have customers from all over the world, so obviously it works. So the demand was there; it's still there because it's growing every single day. Right. But building a nation is really like building a business. You have to have your basics. You have to have your marketing. You have to have your plan. You have to have your customers. You have to have your products. You have to have your services. You have to do all those things that go with building a business, and that's exactly what we've done. We know we're funny. We know we try to be satire, but at the end of the day, it really is a business, and that's really how we treat it every single day. And we do the same things that any whether it's a startup entrepreneur or someone who's already in business would do their business. We do it the same way. Yeah, so it's the same thing.
Wow. Going back decades ago, I was helping a company. I'm wondering if it's kind of it was a company in China, and they actually had land that they created a city, not a country, but they created a city. And you had to, have hospitals and doctors and schools and supermarket and all that stuff. So, you're basically building from the ground up, literally. And I would imagine that you've had to do the same exact thing there. So I could see why people would just want to flex. Half the time, I'm just like, take me away from this nightmare. I don't even know what's going on anymore. So I'd rather just go relocate someplace too.
Listen, becoming a part of Slowjamastan is all about unity, mental well-being, and positivity. And it's really, I believe, to the core that this is exactly why people come to us and why people are attracted to the whole Slowjamastan idea.
Now, do they come to live, or do they come to... Can they come through and leave, or how does that work?
So the way it works, you can't actually move into Slowjamastan. It's not that kind of a country. There's no, we're still trying to build a lazy river out in the middle of the desert. But there's no plumbing. There's no anything. There's nothing that's really livable other than a trailer. But it is a place that you can visit and you can come in and you can see all the things that we do, have out there. But yeah, definitely not a place you want to move to, especially in the summer when it's about 120 degrees. I don't see anybody wanting to hang out in Slowjamastan at that time.
Well, then you got to make it really party.
Yeah,
Everybody's
exactly.
delusional. Yeah.
Or bring misters.
Wow.
Bring some misters somehow, some way. Pump in some water, maybe from the Salton Sea.
Why not? Now, obviously, humor is central to your approach. So how do you use humor effectively to engage and inspire audiences?
How do we use humor?
Yeah.
It's a question. So, man, how do we use it effectively? I think that just the fact that we've created these silly laws that we've done, the humor in banning Crocs, the humor in knowing how to eat string cheese correctly. And oh, by the way, Patty, how do you eat your string cheese?
I feel it and eat it.
She gets it. I love it. You gently peel it lovingly. We don't chomp on it like barbarians, right? We live in a civilized society. That's those that chomp it. We have to have a conversation. But that's how we use humor in Slowjamastan to bring people along. The fact that we banned Crocs, people love that. They found it to be funny. It's what brought unity right away. The string cheese, how you eat string cheese. No speeding in Slowjamastan unless you got tacos in the car. Because let's be honest. What's fun about soggy tacos?
Yeah, every man for himself. Yep.
I don't know anyone who likes soggy tacos. It's the only time we'll let you speed in Slowjamastan. But that's how we use humor effectively. Is that humor can be so subjective. But when you bring things like the string cheese and the no speeding laws and the ban on Crocs, it's the kind of humor that brings people together because it's also relatable. Right. It's relatable humor is what it is. It's things that are true. Not saying that humor isn't necessarily true, but in this. In our concept, that's what brings people together. That's how we effectively use humor to bring, our Slowjamastanis to one place and feel like they're unified and that they're part of something.
Right.
So
I think life is just so serious every place else that it's kind of like that good mental break to just go and have fun and just let it all go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I've heard it so many times, when people that we met all the people that come out to, because we do events, out there when the weather's good, which is a little over half of the year. Right. And I heard that a lot. And that's when I realized that we were creating something that was good for mental well-being with so much divisiveness in the world. Right. People were saying that this is why they love Slowjamastan. It's why they came, why they became citizens, and why they wanted to be a part of it, because they were looking for something that was mentally positive in their lives. Mm-hmm. And this became something that was mentally positive for them. They loved the idea of the Crocs, the string cheese, all the funny things that we do. And this is what I hear the most from our citizens. I love you guys. You guys are funny. You guys do all these great things. You guys are so positive. You bring positivity to the world. Those are the things I heard so much. And I'm like, that's what we've created. Yeah. I'll be honest, we didn't do it intentionally. It just turned out to be that. But I've recognized these things along the way. I'm like, my gosh. So not only do people see us as mental well-being, they see us as a positive entity. They see us as a unity, inclusivity. People, we have people from all over the world, right? So we have all nationalities, all backgrounds, all customs, but these people come together in one place and they feel inclusive, which is why we call them Slowjamastanis.
But it's like therapy. I mean, everybody can't sleep at night, and there's so much going on that people are just so stressed out from the world we live in now. So that mental break of just go have fun and be with like-minded people. I mean, I could see why that would be a massive attraction.
And dressing up in silly uniforms and things like that. My best friend, he's the Sultan of Slowjamastan. So he's got the green uniform that he dresses up in. And so, that makes it even more funny. And then and by the way, this is just this uniform is just my, when I do my speaking events, engagements, this is what I use. When I do interviews with you, this is what I use. But I actually have my tactical uniform. And, if you ever, you can find it on my website. Online, but I have the tactical uniform. That's what you actually see me wearing when I'm out at Slowjamastan. This is my more professional, a little cleaned up, more polished uniform for interviews.
Now, are you synced up at like vacation spots and stuff like that? Because I think that would be a great, just attraction for people. Because people want to go on vacation, they're spending a fortune, and just go to a place and just forget it all. I think that would be a great thing.
So, are you asking if we're a vacation spot?
No, you could be, right?
Well, it's funny, and I'll go back to, I didn't hear the first part of the question, but I'll answer this first part. People plan their vacations around Slowjamastan. We've had people that came from China, that came from Australia, that said, we literally planned our vacation because we wanted to come here. So then they'll go to California, they'll go to other places, but they planned it because of Slowjamastan. But I didn't hear the first part of your question.
I was asking if you were like, did you sync up with any travel agents to promote going there? Because I think, it's some places I've gone to where, I've gone to various travel agents and I'm like, I never even heard of you before, where this would be a great, and even things with like this is where my marketing brain comes in, like the airlines, the magazines, putting stuff in there because people are bored. They got 3 hours to read. They'd be like, I never heard of this. Let me check them out. It'd be good additional attraction point,
I love that idea, and I'll tell you a quick little story. I love the idea. We haven't done that. We have not hooked up with travel agents to bring that up. But now that you say that, I'm gonna jot that down because, like I said, people do plan their vacations just because they want to see what Slowjamastan looks like. But I was in a flight from DC to I think we were coming back to California. I can't remember. We go so many places. I think we were coming back to California. But the pilot knew that we were on board, and the pilot was a fan of Slowjamastan. So what the pilot did is that he made sure that his staff let everybody know as soon as we were going to go over Slowjamastan, to let all the passengers know that we were just about to fly over Slowjamastan. So sure enough, they came and they got us. They asked us to take pictures, and he announced on the plane that we are now flying over the Republic of Slowjamastan. And I'm sure passengers are going,
where
the heck is he talking about?
That's awesome.
But that's funny because you're talking about travel. But yeah, the pilot literally wanted to make sure passengers knew that we were flying over Slowjamastan, which I thought was phenomenal.
It's kind of cool because I remember decades ago, I was with my company and they had a lot of these, restaurant, like in these different countries. I happen to be in London, and B and I work in marketing. They gave us a free first class trip there. Ate at all these different restaurants. Every day we were at a different hotel because they want you to experience to be able to promote them.
How do I get that connection?
I know. I wish I had it again. I'd be all over the world. But stuff like that, like reaching out to the various hotels and stuff along the way, just telling people, hey, just saying, if you're ever doing that, we could throw you a night for free here. If you, because they're getting people from around the world for this.
Yeah.
And just, again, my marketing brain.
I love the idea, and I'm going to jot that down because I honestly never thought about that, but that's a great idea because it's kind of a little bit of a bonus that they can offer. If you're going to be in that particular area, why not make, maybe a half hour, an hour, drive down to, Slowjamastan. Again,
if people from A to B and where along the way, by all means.
Absolutely. I mean, if people are already planning their trips around us, I mean, that makes perfect sense. So I appreciate your little golden nugget there.
But I would definitely do the magazine that's on the planes.
That's a great idea. Yes. Obviously, we need to hire a marketing person that's doing a better job than we are.
So,
we're not doing that great of a job, apparently.
Baby
we're looking
steps.
to make this happen on its own.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. Exactly.
Retaining customers, it's critical for any business. So what are some unique strategies that you've employed to creating lasting loyalty?
And again, it's things that I've learned throughout the years, and it's not just for Slowjamastan, although it will apply there. But being that I the co-creator of the world's only national trivia show, I tell whether it's CEOs or HR directors or corporate planners, I tell them that trivia is such a great retention tool, one of the greatest retention tools, and I used to look at it as just entertainment. Because I come from an entertainment background. So I used to look at that as just a fun thing to do. It's exciting. It's energetic, all the music, blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't until one day I started realizing that it was actually more of a retention tool and more of an engagement tool. And I'm like, oh my gosh, once I started speaking with other CEOs or I started speaking with other people that had hired us in the past, some of the feedback we were getting was like, oh my gosh, our employees loved, what Mark Corona did, the engagement was phenomenal. And it's when I started realizing that trivia was a great engagement tool. So I used that as a retention strategy. And that's actually worked out so good. It's why I love doing trivia. Because now I get to see what that's like and I get to experience it, firsthand. And think of it like this, Patty. It's like, an IT department never really hangs out with, say, the customer service department, right? They're just two different departments. They might see each other in passing, but they're not buddies hanging out or having conversations. But in the trivia environment, that completely changes. All of a sudden, these people come together who never knew each other, start laughing together, start having conversations, figuring out questions, having drinks together. Next thing you know, whole relationships have, developed. And I've seen it so many times. And I'm like, man, trivia is fantastic. And I'll give you another one that I use it. And I think that and this could really be for any business owner, whether you're a CEO or you're a mid-level, you're, startup or whatever. And I'm actually, before you call, this is what I'm doing right now. It's something I called PVM. It stands for positive video messages or personal video messages. And what I do is I literally take out my phone, I record a message, and I send it to our members or I send it to my customers. I'm not selling anything. I'm not marketing anything. There's no promotion. I just simply send an authentic message and that's it. And if you got a second, I'd love to read you, because I wanted to save this for this interview. This is just one of the many responses that I get with personal video messages. And this is one that came when I first started doing it. And I kept it for this, for this amount of time. But it starts like this. It goes, "Hey, Chief, thank you so much for this. I've had a terrible day and I was in tears most of the day. And your video brought the smile on my face I so desperately needed. Thank you for all you do, and long live Slowjamastan." That was from a message that I sent. I don't know what this person was going through. I just happened to send it at the right time. And they received this, and this is a customer, and they received this, and they loved that I had sent them this message. That was a moment I realized I just stumbled upon something very powerful, and I started doing it as part of my regular retention strategies. But the key is you got to be authentic. You can't just like, all right, well, I'm going to start sending messages out so I can, retain these customers and keep them buying more. It doesn't work that way. You literally have to be authentic about it. You have to be real about it, because I think people can see right through it. So when I send messages, I do it when I'm in the mental mode to say, you know what, today I'm going to send some messages out. Because if I'm not in that mental mode, if I'm not in that thinking, I don't want to send it out, because I believe it just comes out as fake. You know what I mean? I would rather send it when the moment's right. So I don't have a schedule. I don't go, okay, I'm going to do this on Monday and on Fridays. I don't. I do it when I feel the moment to do it. And today was one of those days. And I'm sitting here doing my messages and I'm sending them out, because today was a day that I felt like wanting to do it. The holidays are here. I said, you know what? This is the time to do it. So there's a lot that goes with, doing these PVM messages, not just, hey, let me take out my phone, record and send. It's really a strategy more than anything else. But those are the two things that I've used for, 10 years now. 10 years. And it's been one of the greatest tools I've used. There's other things I do, but those are my two favorites.
I mean, it's awesome because, I always say you never know what somebody's going through. Like, people always just say, oh, people who, commit suicide. And everybody's like, they were always such a happy person. Just because somebody's smiling doesn't mean that they're not dealing with a lot. And it's interesting what you said about the trivia and stuff, because I just had this conversation with someone recently. I come from a Catholic school background, so you can imagine what that was like from pre-K to high school. And we would, I would have, I think we had like 8 classes, and every night was like an hour and a half of each class homework. And what happened is we had a test like every week, and you weren't taught it in a fun way that made me want to learn anything. You were just, you have to, because I had strict parents. If you didn't get 100, you were in trouble. So, I study because I had to get 100. And it's funny because I remember I was in 2nd grade, not even like 8th grade, 2nd grade, they gave us a map with nothing on it. And you had to put in where all the states were. And, so I had to memorize it on top of everything else. And now it becomes a laughing joke because my husband just said something about, I forget what I was talking about. And he's like, Patty, there's no rivers anywhere near that. And I'm like, well, show it to me on a map. Like, I couldn't even tell you where. I'm so directionally challenged because I wasn't taught in a way to make me retain it. I knew I had to pass, and I passed it, done. Never have to look at it again. And now you're kind of like, I know where Chicago, California, Florida, but anything in between, like where's Mississippi? I have no clue. I need a map. It's like, it's just, so keeping humor and stuff, you do retain it a lot more because it's an incentive. You want to get better because it's like a game, but just because you have to learn or you're going to get your butt kicked, that's totally different,
And I'm glad you say that. I agree with you 100% because some of the games that we've done in trivia have also been for learning purposes, right? Like not every question is just about general knowledge or pop culture or whatever. A lot of the questions we customize for, whatever the event is. Sometimes they want to do more of a strategic style of game where they want their employees to learn certain things. And when you're in the environment of fun, it's a lot easier to learn these things. Yeah, you made a great point. And that's exactly what happens with us when it comes to trivia. It's the same thing. It's a great way to retain information, but it's also a great way to keep employees energized and excited about being a part of that company. And we've seen that a lot.
Because then it's like competition too. It's like, oh, we got to beat that team, but it's
Oh,
fun. It's not
my
like,
gosh, yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
That's when all the energy starts coming into the room, is from people doing exactly that. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's the greatest retention tool ever. It's one of my favorites.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, speaking at something different, speaking at NATO Summit 2024, that's a remarkable achievement. So, like, what was the experience like, and what message did you share what message did you share with that audience?
Gosh, so that was I still look at that as a something that was yesterday, but there's only a handful of people in the world that can say they spoke at NATO. It's not something that anyone can just say, and it wasn't strategic. I was not invited to speak at NATO. We first of all, it took us a year to even get cleared, to be able to be there. It was chance. It was all chance. I was not prepared. I was not. That's actually kind of what launched my speaking career. It was going to NATO and realizing that I had that ability. So let me just kind of paint a picture for you. Okay, this is NATO. So we're watching the speeches, and I'm enjoying the speeches a lot. And I went up to the coordinator, and I said, hey, this is great. I really love the speeches. I'm really glad we're here. Blah blah blah. I give him my business card. My business card says Slowjamastan on it. Obviously, I wasn't in uniform or anything because I wasn't expecting it. I mean, I wasn't there for that. And so he says Slowjamastan. He goes, oh my gosh, I know you guys. This is hilarious. So we started having a conversation. He's a big fan. He says, listen, I got 5 minutes. If you wanted, we can go up on the stage and quickly talk about Slowjamastan. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm thinking. In my brain, I'm exploding, wanting to say, no way, I don't want to do this. But I'm like, sure, I'll do it. So here's a picture I want to paint for you. This is NATO. The people giving speeches, you've got presidents, vice presidents, generals, military people. You've got investors. They're talking about climate change. They're talking about drones. They're talking about important world events. And then here I come along, and I'm talking about string cheese. And I'm talking about no Crocs. And no speeding in Slowjamastan. But here's what I found out. It happened to be at the right moment. It was the moment where they needed someone like me to go up and be silly, because with all the seriousness of what's going on, this guy comes up with all these silly croc and cheese strings and no speeding things, and people are chuckling and having fun. That was exactly the moment that was needed. It was at the right time. So I wasn't invited. You're not going to find me on their list of speakers. This was just a moment of chance, and I took it. So I said, let's do it. I went up on that stage. I did my 5 minutes, which seemed like eternity because I've never done this before. But I'm like, at least I've got video and pictures that I can look back and go, oh my gosh. So yeah, the video I have, it's really hard to hear me because it was, again, so last minute. So my buddy's taking the video, and I'm like, my God. Anyway, it was such an extraordinary moment to be a part of NATO and to be able to say and put it on my website and say, I got to speak on the stage at NATO. That's huge.
Accomplishment. Yeah. And it's funny,
and they got to know Slowjamastan.
There you go. It's
the former chief of staff was there. And now he follows us on Twitter and started reposting all of our stuff. So, I cut you off. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's totally fine. No, I'm just saying with the humor. It is funny because I've been to business meetings, and I remember being in a board meeting, and all these people, and they're all so serious, and they're talking about budget cuts and blah blah blah, and I wasn't feeling that well. I came, and then someone just happened to say in passing, "How are you feeling?" Go on, and I just blurt out, "I feel with my hands." I think because he said, "How do you feel?" and I said, "I feel with my hands." And so many people were kind of like, Patty, that was so inappropriate at that. And I'm just kind of like, but everybody was kind of like, okay, what? And then it just made everybody like laugh for a minute. And I'm like, I really, because sometimes you forget where you're at, and it's like, I'm not with my friends, but for a quick minute, everybody was just like, they relaxed in it, and it wasn't so stressful anymore. I'm like, sometimes there's a time and a place for that. Yeah.
You needed the break. And little did I know that these people needed a break. There's so much serious, conversations and speeches, and very good speeches, by the way. Right. But, they were very on a serious tone. Yeah. And all of a sudden this guy, comes along and starts talking about, string cheese. So it was exactly the moment that was needed, and I think that's what makes us what makes us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we had some reporters that knew about it. They came up to us. They started interviewing us.
Right.
It was wild. We got a lot of interviews out of it. So a lot
That's
of
awesome.
from all around the world. So it was again a moment of chance. It was really a moment of chance.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Now, you were mentioning like mental wellness and unity. So how did these themes influence your work and messages that you deliver?
How do they do what?
How do they, basically influence your work and the messages that you deliver?
With mental well-being, so I think we're all influenced really. Like I said earlier, once I realized that this was causing uh, you know mental positivity for people, we started doing more work that was in relation to those things. Once we started realizing, okay, so we know what Slowjamastan is now because we didn't know at the beginning, right? Like we know what it is now. So what it is now is we are a country who promotes positivity, unity, and inclusivity. So we started doing more things that led to more of that. And really, again, it came from people letting us know how they were feeling and how we were making them feel, apparently. And we didn't do this on purpose. Again, I would love to sit here and take credit. Yep, we had all these, strategies.
Right.
We didn't. We were just listening to what people were saying to us. And if I could just go back to how does this apply to business? You got to listen to your customers. You got to listen to the market. You got to listen to what people are saying. Just because you want to sell a product or a service
Right.
doesn't mean that that's what the people want. They may like what you have, but if they're telling you we want you to sell B and C as well, you better start selling B and C. And I think that we've done a remarkable job of just listening to what people are telling us, and we continue to tailor our message and tailor our work to whatever the people are asking us to do. I believe anyway, that is how you do great business, is listen to what the people are asking for. And sometimes they're not asking, they're just saying.
Yeah.
Listen to what they're saying, because if you read between the lines, you'll discover some really amazing things, and you can have a thriving business if you're not just thinking about the bottom line. Because there is no bottom line if you don't have a great customer. There is no bottom line if you don't have great employees. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah. It's funny because I always, in the marketing world and everything, every client I have, they always hate when I say this, but they're always like, I don't represent them, but say Coca-Cola, for example.
Mhm.
But we're a soda company. We have the greatest soda in the whole wide world and everybody wants to buy it. And I'm always like, but it's not about you. And they hate that because it's like, it's not about you though. It's about who you're servicing, who's your client, who's your customer, whatnot. And like I said, with clients, sometimes their 800 numbers would ring on my desk. And it's amazing the story that you're telling sometimes isn't even at all what they're understanding. So listening to them, the big key, listening to them and understanding what it is they're looking for, what do they want, and maybe you need to retailer your message, or if you're doing a shirt company and you're just figuring people just want fashion, but that's not what they were buying it for. They were buying it for this. Well, then maybe that'll expand into 50 other different things.
Exactly.
But listening is the key to everything. And so many people, they just blah, blah, blah about themselves. It's like not about you. It's about who they are. Listen to what they have to say. That's why I love perception studies and I forget the other word, where you basically interview the people. Sometimes they'll give you like a $10 gift card for something. Just let me hear your feedback on something. But you learn so much from them. And that's the people that you want to cater to. So I agree 100%. Listen to what people say. And
I think, I think what happens is that sometimes it happens to all of us. I think we get so caught up in our own business, right? Like, in our products or our services, whatever it is that we're trying to do. And we forget that, like you said, we forget it. Actually, it's not about us. It's true. It's not about us. It's really what we're providing that people are buying. It's like an artist, whether it's a singer or an actor, it's really not about them. It's the movie they're producing. It's the song that they produce. Without that, they're just average Joe, right?
Yeah.
Without those things, they're just, take that away and they're just average Joe. But it's all about listening. And I try to be more of a listener so that I can have more success being the listener. And I believe so far we're doing that. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I fall into the trap, as well. But I also remind, whether people in management teams or CEOs, I remind them, you got to listen to what people want. Because
100%.
like when we started this interview, you said, hey, tell me about you. I don't like to talk about myself because it's really not about me. Actually, this is about your viewers, your listeners. So I'm here to provide value to them. You're interviewing me so I can provide value to them so they can learn something. Not how great I am, not how great my country is, not how great I am on national trivia host. Those things don't matter. What matters is the things we're talking about here today. Am I bringing value to your viewers and your listeners today? And I think that that's what every business owner needs to think of. It's like, think like you're being interviewed, and can you bring value in that interview to the other person that's listening?
Well, I should applaud you right now because so many people should take heed in all that.
Listen, it's been a lot of trial and error, but I try. I'm the guy that tries to listen. I really try to listen.
Awesome. That's way more than most people do. Now, as a leader with a satirical edge, how do you balance creativity with the responsibilities of leadership?
How do we balance creativity? I think it's so easy for us because everything was built really on creativity. I mean, everything we do. But I think the balance is. I honestly, I just don't find it difficult. It's just I don't even know how to really answer the question because it's just something I just naturally do. It's just something we naturally do. The creativity is what leads to the work that we do. It's what leads to what the people are being attracted to, and it's what all these things that happen. It's just I come from that background. I think it's just a natural ability. I wish I could give you a better answer to that.
Because so many people stick, they do the same all the time, or it's always been done that way. And I always admire people who just do something different, just see what it's like, and it's like even with the podcast, some people, stick with a specific niche, maybe technology or health. I talk to everybody. I think if you have a great story, somebody can benefit from it. And it's like, I'm not trying to stick to the status quo. It's like, sometimes you got to step outside the box, be different, be creative, come up with something different and see what's the worst that'll happen,
My whole life has been built on being different. Since I was in school, I've been different. People know me. If you went back and asked about me in school, people know me as a different person. That guy totally stood out. But my whole life has been built on being different. And that's awesome, what, look, I'm doing an interview.
When you were saying that, I'm like, just like your outfit. I get it.
So you understand what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorry, my earbuds moved to my phone for some reason. So I think I may have lost you here.
No, I got you.
Oh, there we go. Awesome. Awesome.
Now tell us, what's next for you? Are there any new projects, initiatives, or adventures on the horizon that you're excited to share?
I think that right now, the thing that I'm really focusing on the most is, next is being a speaker. Now that I've done some speaking engagements, which, I never even thought of, that's now the next thing for me, simply to be able to share the message of whether it's goal setting or customer retention or employee retention. I've just learned so much from what we've done, here. And again, let me take it back to listening. The reason I say I'm going and do, the next thing for me is speaking is because people have asked me to. It's the only reason I'm doing it. People have said it. They're like, you should go talk about this. You should talk about that. And I never really thought about it. And I'm like, really? I'm like, do you think anybody even cares? I mean, who wants to listen to me? I'm just the guy that does the border patrol stuff and I do my trivia stuff. But it was listening to people saying, no, you should be a motivational speaker. No, you should go talk about that. You should talk to people about their goals. You're so good at retention. You should be talking to companies about that. So that's the next adventure for me is literally I've only been doing it, the speaking engagements for just a little less than a year, but it's already on track and it's already moving forward. But again, it just goes back to I'm listening to what people are saying. I like to see the pattern.
But it's, some people, they just talk and, you ever see people talking, you're just like falling asleep. It's like, whatever.
Oh, God.
But if you're talking interesting and funny and dragging people into the conversation, by all means, you got their attention. They want to hear more. And obviously they do. So that's, maybe that's
at least I hope so. At least I hope so. I feel like I'm a super boring guy, but at least I hope so.
Well, the fact that random people on a plane heard about you and somebody at NATO heard about you, I mean, that's pretty much telling you right there.
That's true. I'll give you that one.
People hear you.
I'll give you that. That's true. I appreciate that.
No, my pleasure. Anything else you want to add that we didn't cover?
No, I think this is great. Again, if I can give any kind of value to your viewers and your listeners, honestly, this is why I do these interviews. And it's funny, I found you, and I had approached you, just looking at your bio and things like that. But it's funny how I wasn't expecting to be approached as much as I have been. To talk about these things. So that kind of blew my mind a little bit. But other than that, if I can, just provide value here today, that's really all I care about. If this could be a great podcast for you and your listeners, then my job here is done.
Nice. Now, how could people find out more about Slowjamastan?
We put out Slow Jam and Jam.
Yeah,
We have strawberry, we have peach. It's in the works.
Yeah.
But funny. No, so if you want to find out more about whether it's our nation or trivia or me as a speaker, you just go to my website, markcorona.com. Or if you want to if you really want to go down the rabbit hole of Slowjamastan, you can always go to porterpatrol.com. So instead of Border Patrol, you search the P and the B, and it's called Porter, Porder, porterpatrol.com. I have a vehicle. Yeah, I have a vehicle called Border Patrol. It's a Border Patrol vehicle, but it says Border Patrol, and it looks just like a real Border Patrol truck. And
awesome.
People see it, and they're like, what the heck? Did I just see a Border Patrol? What the heck is that? It takes you a while to realize
running from you.
Yes. And it takes you a while to realize it doesn't say Border Patrol on it, but it looks identical to a Border Patrol truck, except it's Border Patrol. But the simpler website would be markcorona.com, corona.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being on the show. Again, that was Chief Mark Corona. So thanks for listening to Real Conversations with Patricia. Never miss an episode by subscribing to the channel. So thank you again.
Thank you for listening to Real Conversations with Patricia, talking with some of the most brilliant minds on their journey to success and their recommended strategies. Please leave your feedback and visit pristineadvisors.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Feel free to let me know your thoughts, suggestions, and anything else you'd like me to cover. Together, we can make success happen for all.